Walkers. Hello, Lady Lighthouses. I'm your girl, Anita, and I'm also Lady Lighthouse. Today is April 27th, 2025. If you got a redo to do more of something, what would it be? Put that on the side burner. We'll come back to her. Oh, but we are going to talk about the solution to 10,000 problems. Speaking of, if you got one for peanut butter fudge, but not the one that tastes like sweetener, be great. Let me have it. Because that's not my forte, baby. So, okay. You remember back we were talking about the quail and the manna God gave the Israelites in the wilderness? Okay? Alright. So before the quail hit the fan, God asked Moses a question. But not just a question. The question of all questions. Now, your answer to this question determines the size of your prayers, your prayer circle. Just saying. Okay? Is there a limit to my power? God says to Moses. That should be a no, seeing as it's God we're talking about here. Okay, so God's omnipotent, right? So that means he can do anything. So is your problem bigger than God? Or is God bigger than your problem? Hey, I agree with the mystic A.W. Tozer. We, as in you and I, have a low view of God. And that's the cause of lesser evils. Totally reading from my notes, by the way. My notes. Not from the book itself. See, this is my notebook. Just in case for you, TikTok. I don't own rights to the book itself, though. Okay. A high view is the solution to 10,000 problems, right? Divorce, failing businesses, doctor's diagnosis, relational, health, or finances. All those issues are legit. Totally not making light of that. But in order for you to face your giant head on, is to answer this one question. Is your giant bigger than God? When's the last time you sized up God? If God is a no-limit God, then you should be praying no-limit prayers, right? Okay, and just for my scientists out there, God exists outside of our 4 space-time dimensions, okay? Prayers are what we should be praying. 4th dimensional prayers is what we should be praying. Wow. Okay. 4 space-time dimensions that God created. So, can you just imagine 4 dimensions, dude? That's like galaxy stuff. Whoa. Okay, so speaking of space and time, how long is one day to God? That's 1,000 years, according to Scripture. So what about 1,000,000 years? That's like a second, right? Cool. So what about $1 million? Whoa, Lord, wouldn't we all love to have $1 million? Yes, we would. Well, God says $1 million is like a penny to him. Interesting. Okay, so let's ask God for a penny. God says, just wait a minute. Okay, so shall we ask again, God says, is there a limit to my power? We should think about that, just like the day when God answered Honi's rain prayer. Do you remember that? Where Honi drew a circle in the sand outside of the village for the people that were in a drought. They needed rain. Totally did that. And he didn't leave it until it rained. Could you imagine? Okay. It's hard to unsee or unbelieve when the villagers opened their arms wide to receive such a quencher for the drought, dude. Can you imagine being 5 years in a drought and then all of a sudden this man goes out, just prays for rain, and all of a sudden it just starts pouring rain. So is there a limit to God's power? Wow. The storm that God uses to break you is the same storm that God's going to use to make you. Let me read that again. The same storm that God uses to break you will be the same storm that God uses to make you. I wonder if that's how Moses felt after circling his and the Israelites' exodus. Yes, their exit. From feeding them manna to the Red Sea, including the 10 miracles. Okay, so I'll just name them off for you, right? Okay, so the first one was turning the water to blood. The second one was the frogs. The third one was the gnats or lice. Fourth was flies. Fifth was a livestock pestilence. Six was boils. 7 was hail. 8 was locusts. 9 was darkness. 10 was the death of the firstborn. Cool, right? Let's add 2 more to that. 2 is a witness. For those of you that know, you know. Alright, so Moses' hand turned white with leprosy. Yeah? And the second one was turning the staff into serpent. Because didn't they wanted to prove that the witches and the warlocks had more power? You see, God is the omnipotent, omniscient. He is the source of our power. Gotcha? Gotcha. But God is the all-powerful one. He just graciously shares his gifts with us so we can use them as he sees fit. So is God's arm too short? So let's reference that to his power, okay? Well, what about the finger of God? Or the pinky? If God could use one pinky or a pointer finger to do all those miracles, what more could his hand or his arm do? You know what I'm saying? So my thoughts when it comes to God's will is a hit or miss. And I think my batting average is no better than anybody else's, especially when it comes to hitting God's pitches out of the park. So if that's you today, Water Walker or Lady Lighthouses, I've got 2 questions for you. 1, if you got a redo to do more of something, what would it be? For me, I think I would love fearlessly whether or not I got loved in return. And 2, are you ready for that home run, superstar?